we're gonna teach you how you can increase your speed for lacrosse, and we're gonna start right now. So first, cue the 60-second breakdown. What do we need to run faster? What do we need for speed? The first key factor is going to be we need to be as explosive as at the start. That means we have to have a lot of overcoming strength. That means we need to have some basis of absolute strength along with that dynamic strength that we might get from doing technical coordination exercises. Second key, we need to have a strong drive phase. That means we need to be able to accelerate very, very well. Strong glutes, strong quads, and we need to be elastic through our ankle joint. Third key factor, we need to have a strong transition. So this means we have to transition from acceleration to holding that max speed, or we need to be able to decelerate and cut very, very rapidly. We need to be able to have that agility that is pivotal to being a great lacrosse player. And then long term, we should be working on a little bit of max velocity speed work, running as fast as we can at 60, 70, 80 meters. Although most of the time we're never going to achieve that on the lacrosse field, we should be training in that realm a little bit of our time when we're doing speed work, so that can improve our overall dynamic trunk control. A key part behind lacrosse-based speed. When you're running with a stick, you've got to have that dynamic trunk control. So where is lacrosse speed going to come into play? Now we're going to set up the basic understanding of the sport and then provide a specific exercise that you guys can do right now if you don't have access to our app, Peak Strength. So that first key factor is that when we're looking at lacrosse, there is a lot of starting and stopping, a lot of accelerating, a lot of decelerating. So what's the first lift that we could be doing to improve that ability to start and stop? Okay, think about that. If we're moving a heavy weight, and let's say we're moving that heavy weight very, very quickly. I have someone like Ryan Tarafenko, who's an All-American at Ohio State as a lacrosse player, okay, and he's trained at Garage Strength. If we have someone like him, we want him to move something quickly, but also be able to decelerate very quickly. And a perfect example, a perfect exercise would be a pause power clean. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a power clean, and when we pause, it's gonna be a pause in the catch. So you execute a power clean, throw on the brakes as quickly as possible, and that's going to mimic a starting position, so starting off the line or starting from a slow position in the actual game, and then stopping as quickly as possible with a heavy load. You can do that for 5 sets of 2, and again, make sure you pause in the catch. Now remember, back to the beginning, during the 60-second physiology breakdown, I talked about dynamic trunk control. I talked about that running with a stick, just like field hockey, just like ice hockey, just like tennis, just like badminton. There is a massive requirement to have dynamic trunk control. Okay, so if we're going to be focusing on speed-based training, we have to think about that through the lens of lacrosse. And that brings in the next 2 specific exercises. I would use single leg squats, and you can do a slow eccentric single leg squat or an unbroken single leg squat. This is going to put you in a unilateral position, so you're gonna have to really fire with that trunk and be as stable as possible through the entire hip girdle. We also wanna focus on strengthening the glutes and the quads. So you could do some of the sets with a little bit longer front foot, and you can do some of your sets with a little bit of a shorter front foot. Now, pair this, so superset this with Dane's fast abs. If we're using some type of contrast training where we're doing single leg squats here, rest for about a minute, and then we can do Dane's fast abs. Now we're gonna fatigue the trunk a little bit so that as we're going through that single leg squat, you have to focus as much as possible on that trunk stability or that dynamic trunk control. And one of the other interesting parts around lacrosse is that there's a lot of contact. It's a very violent sport. Okay, so you're gonna have players running at full speed making contact. You're gonna have some pummeling, you're gonna have some pushing. It's going to be pretty aggressive. So there's areas that we need to focus on that are out on the field that we can then transition them into the weight room. So what's gonna help us with some of that aggressive contact? What's gonna help us so that we can be more aggressive and put ourselves in better position to dominate our opponents? And this is where I'm gonna call out all the lacrosse players. You guys don't like to front squat. You don't wanna do it. It's hard, it's challenging, but it forces you to have that upright trunk. It gives you that field strength. It makes you really, really strong in your quads as well. And it also, when someone goes to make contact, you know how to have some type of tension so that they can't move you, okay? Ryan Tarafenko does front squats. Everybody should be doing front squats. I'd do 4 triples and then do 2 sets of 7 as quickly as you can at an unbroken pace. They will transfer very, very well to doing speed out on the field. Now, one final aspect behind building speed for lacrosse, because I know a lot of people are gonna say, well, there's no sprinting in here. You can still do sprinting. There's not a lot of crazy stuff. I don't know if we should be doing this. We think that we're gonna do a power clean, a single leg squat with Dane's fast abs, some front squats, that's gonna increase our overall speed. And that's where this next exercise comes into play. And this is a movement that we use inside of our app, Peak Strength. So if you need help with your programming, head to Peak Strength. You can get 7 free days of training to try it out. And this exercise is going to be called the Jan Jump series. Okay, so Jan Johnson played for the Tennessee Titans. He also was a state champion wrestler in high school, and he played at Penn State. Okay, he was extremely mobile and extremely fast. The Jan Jump series is based off of a series that we used to get him to the NFL. Okay, so you're gonna do side jumps rapidly into hurdle hops and possibly even into a box jump. And what this does is it teaches you how to be elastic. Earlier we talked about being elastic, thinking about elasticity as a kangaroo. I know this sounds crazy, but if you see kangaroos move, they're extremely pliable, they're very fast, they're very explosive. And if we can train our body to be strong, to be more muscular, and then learn how to use the twitchiness of that newfound muscle, that's the elasticity that we're looking for. So use Jan Jump series, and I would recommend doing 6 sets. So you can do 3 to each specific side and try to execute that as smoothly as possible. And that's gonna improve your overall speed on the lacrosse field. So if you guys need more accountability in your training, you need someone to help you with what you're doing in the weight room and even provide you with those rest periods, head over to peakstrength.app, the Google Play Store or the Apple iOS Store, and download Peak Strength today for 7 free days of training. Because remember, freaks, if you want to become a champion, you've always got to cultivate your power. Peace.